Hi, I'm Julie Johnson with Firebox Training. Today I'm going to show you how to create a jsf2 application. We're going to have a web page that has a form on it, and we're also going to use some managed beans to store the information. The first thing we want to do is create a server. So I have Apache Tomcat already downloaded on my system. I put it under my C drive, and so I'm going to create a new server. So go to your server window. If you don't have this, you can find it under Window, Show View, Servers. So new server window, and I'm using Tomcat 7.0 server, and then hit next and then finish. So now that I have that, I'm going to go ahead and create my application. So new dynamic web project, and I'm going to call this first JSF app. Apache Tomcat web module version 3.0, and this is JSF 2.0 project, and hit next again, and generate a web.xml deployment descriptor. Now I'm going to use the Apache MyFaces library, and so if you don't have this library in here, you can always click on Download Library and select whatever flavor you're working with. Okay, but I already have that in there. My URL mapping pattern, this is, whenever we have pages that end in .faces, it's going to be a JSF page. Okay, so we hit Finish, and here we have our web.xml file. I'm not even going to bother using a faces config file. Instead, I'm going to use annotation. So I'll just get rid of that file right there. You'll see in the web XML that we have some servlets. So here we have our faces servlet registered, and this is the URL pattern. For our welcome file list, these are the default files that will try to be executed if we just execute the project as a whole. We don't have to have these in here. In fact, I can just go in here and remove all but one of them. We can just go through here like this. Okay, and now I'll go ahead and close this. I'm going to create a bean to hold my information. So under my Java resources, right-click, New, Class. My package is com.fireboxtraining. You can make your package anything you want. I'm going to call this person bean. And in here, I'm going to have an annotation that indicates that this is a managed bean, and we'll give it a name. And now if we don't specify a name, then it will default to the name of the class, but with the first letter not in capital letters. Okay, so name equals, I'll just call this pbean. Now I'm going to have a couple attributes. I'll say private, string, lname, and fname. And in fact, if I want to put in default values, I can. Maybe put in here Joe Schmo. I'm going to right-click, Source, Generate Getters and Setters. Looks good. Now I'm going to click on here and make it import the managed bean. Now that compiles fine. My next step is I'm going to right-click and I'm going to create a new, I know this sounds strange, it's tempting to create a JSP file or a JSF file, but I'm actually going to use XHTML. So I'll just say HTML file. And I will call this personform.xhtml. Here's the template. So down here I have the file, and I'm looking at this with the web editor. If you don't see this editor, you can always right-click on it and say Open With and specify Web Page Editor. Okay, so I can drag and drop from here onto here. Now on my right-hand side, I'd like to show the palette. Okay, so to do that, I go to Window, Show View, Other, and here's General, and then Palette. Okay, so now we see this over here. And at this point, I can expand my JSF HTML, and I'll put an output label as well as a text input. I'm not going to worry about layout at all. Another output label, and then another text input. And now let's go in here and change this value. I'm going to make this say last name. First name. And for the value in here, here's my input text. I hit space and then control space, and it gives me all the possible attributes. I'll say value equals, and this is where I do a pound, curly braces, and then my bean name. So what is my bean name again? It's pbean. It's case sensitive. pbean dot lname. And in here I do the same sort of thing, control space, value equals pbean dot fname. I need to have a button on here to submit, so I will take command button and just place it right onto here. And for the action, control space, action equals, I'm going to have this go to a separate page. So I'll just call this show person dot faces. So I need to have a corresponding XHTML file with this name, this base name. So right click on web content, I go to new HTML file, show person, hit finish, and in here I'm going to do output text. And for my output text, the value, I'm going to say literal person colon, and then I'll reference my pbean dot fname followed by pbean dot lname. Save that. And now let's give this a whirl. I'll right click on my person form and run as, run on server. Tomcat, always use this server when running the project. There's our application, or our project I should say. And in a moment we will see the results. Okay, so we have Joe Schmo in here. We submit the query, and there it is. I can hit my back button. I can type in my name, submit query, and it's working. I hope you learned a lot from this video tutorial. Please visit our website at www.fireboxtraining.com.